Well, hello and happy 2004 to one and all within the sound of our voices in Patriots Nation, the wide world over. It's your old pals, Fitzy and Hart, coming at you with this year's first edition of Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by WEEI, Odyssey, and 2400 Sports. We hope you had a fabulous finish to 2023, a healthy and prosperous Christmas, whatever holiday you may have celebrated, and New Year as well. Unfortunately, in some respects, even though it is 2024, it's still 2023 as far as the Patriots go, because we have one more game left in this ridiculous, frustrating, at times god awful, potentially promising, but just by and large, lost season. Today on the program, we will hand out our grades for Week 17, Game 16 of the 2023 season. The New Year's Eve affair in Buffalo. What a wild one it was. It was a first half to remember and a second half that just sort of kind of took care of everything as quickly as possible and got us to the post game. And then, of course, it's time for some Pat's Perie. We'll catch up on all the news, notes, and nuggets that are whirling and twirling in the wide world of Patriots. All right, Hart. Yep, like I said, it is 2024, but we still have to talk about 2023 quite literally, because that's when the last game was played. And we have one game to go in this season to forget, but it's still potentially a memorable one because it could be Bill Belichick's last. And we don't know with any more certainty or definition that it will be his last. I know we batted around words like penultimate for the game in Buffalo last week. Could this be the ultimate affair for Bill Belichick? It is certainly not the ultimate season as far as entertainment and fulfillment go. Let's hand out some grades. Well, first, just before we hand out the grades, we had a truncated post-game show on New Year's Eve. And then you probably made your way to some parties and whatnot. And I immediately got back underneath the covers. Not because I was afraid of anything. I was just a little under the weather myself. Yeah. Yeah, and I knew that was good. Terp, it was 2:15 the first time Andy made the meow sound, even though let the record show that when one of us had the similar virus, they were not able to do the post-game show, whereas I battled through with a high. Who's the meow now, mofo?
I'm an expert on meowing.
I really just want to take some drugs and go to sleep. All right. Anyway. Yes. Just so we did our post game show, and there was obviously a lot to dissect. It was a bananas first half. Before we hand out individual grades, any couple days now removed thoughts on Game 16 from the 2023 season?
Oh, I thought you were going to take a bigger picture, and I was going to say, hey, that Michael Penix might look good in a Patriots uniform. Everybody's gushing on him.
Calf.
I actually fear him a little bit, but I mean, with all the other quarterbacks sitting out, Bo Nix and Michael Penix actually got a chance to inject some life into the early draft process, I guess. And it seems like everybody in New England's in love with Michael Penix, and the dream that you've had for a while of the double dip might be dead because Michael Penix may have played himself well beyond the top of the top of the second round.
Andy, can you remember recency bias is a hell of a drug, and we are all guilty of it on a regular basis, especially in sports where immediacy of takes and opinion dominates the news cycle. But do you remember ever watching the ball come out of someone's hand so effortlessly? I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's fun to watch, and he made some throws against Texas that just threaded the needle, that just throws that Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, the guys we've been watching simply can't make. And that doesn't mean he's going to be great. He could frustrate you in different ways. You can be frustrated with a cannon quarterback just the way you can with a what does Rex Ryan call him? A limp noodle or whatever the hell Mac Jones.
Noodle arm,
shooter. Needle arm shooter. But it's just those are the things you watch and we forget, like fun, like excitement, like edge of your seat, but for the right reasons, kind of football. That was certainly what the reminder was. And JJ McCarthy, I mean, Jim Harbaugh wants us to believe JJ McCarthy is like the greatest college quarterback of all time. It's stupid, but he wants us to believe that. And who knows if he comes to the Patriots, maybe he's bringing JJ McCarthy with him.
It's he's 26-1 in college as a starter, but we should be reminded, as we were with Michael McCorkle, Mac Jones, that sometimes your record is a product of the absolute freight train of a football team you have around you. JJ McCarthy's only loss as a starter came, of course, in the college football playoff semifinal last year when Michigan made many more uncharacteristic mistakes against TCU in a game they should have won by 20 and somehow found a way to lose. This time they find a way to win against Bama. We'll talk about those games and any players that stuck out briefly over the course of the bowl games and the college football playoffs in the Pat's Perie section. So no, we just no one wants.
This Bills game was, I told you, like frustrating and infuriating. I felt like for both fan bases, like Bills, I'm not sure they feel good about where they're at, even though they're winning and heading into the postseason. Potentially, they could still miss the postseason.
The Bills. How bad can you feel when you're going to play another division rival for your division's title next Sunday night? Like that's a play-in game. That's cool.
But do you feel great about the way your team is playing? And I mean, the other team gives you 3 interceptions, 4 turnovers, 20 points, and you still kind of hang on for dear life. And the other team doesn't really have an offense, and just, I don't know. It was an interesting game, just an interesting game in a lot of ways. Again, I don't know, like not high level interesting, not really good interesting, where it's like classic Patriots Bills or classic Patriots anybody. But they've brought entertainment down the stretch, whether it's a couple wins that you may not have wanted, a game where you could have won, but you didn't. And maybe that's the best for everyone involved at this point in the process. And, the draft seeding and all of that. And guys fighting the good fight, and guys that aren't fighting the good fight being told, don't even fight at all, sit your big ass home and don't even play. Like there's a lot that goes into all of this. And then first and foremost, 1 game left. We're almost done with this hellacious season.
Thank God. I mean, really trying to like tell myself and everyone that's listening or that watches or whatever, hey guys, hasn't it been at least a little more fun the last month and a half? Hasn't there been a higher degree of watchability? There has. I mean, look, but for the days where it was 38-3 against Dallas, then 34-0 against New Orleans, like it's not that bad. Even that win against the Jets was a highly unwatchable game. Not that Bailey Zappe's stats have in any way, shape, or form come near Mac Jones's, let alone surpassed him. But there's been something more entertaining or watchable about this home stretch of the season. But thank God there is only 1 game left. That game to me felt like I can't decide if it's you threw all of the elements of the 2023 season, all that bad and a little bit of the good, and just threw it into the spin cycle and it just all tumbled around for 60 football minutes, or if you just put it in a blender and it just turned out like here's a puree of the 2023 Patriots season. Like it's going to taste bitter. You thought at one point it was actually going to be pretty decent, but it's mostly gross, and I'm not sure where you can go with it from here. So let's get to our grads for the day. As always, here on 6 Rings of Football Things, we go offense, defense, special teams, QB, and coach. We begin with the offense, which quite honestly began once again as an offense. The first play from scrimmage was a turnover. That's 2 weeks in a row that Bailey Zappe has done that. That's a neat little parlor trick he's got going on. Side note, yes, everybody that watched the Michigan game, I saw your tweet where J.J. McCarthy also had a turnover on his first play from scrimmage. And when everyone tweeted, looks like J.J. McCarthy is ready to supplant Bailey Zappe as Patriots quarterback, I almost tweeted the same thing. I just was too slow with my fingers. But I saw you, and I want you to know that you were seen. All right, Andy, what'd you have for a grade? I gave the offense a C-.
I gave him a D. Because I'm a bit of a D myself sometimes. But, when you start the game, not with a kickoff return for a touchdown, we'll get to that later, but once again, start with a turnover. And remember, he started the second half with an interception against the Chiefs. Like this is now a trend where he either starts the game or the half by just giving the ball to the other football team.
It's the Zappe half hour. The Zappe hour died.
And then tell me what you think of this. Just pretend you don't know when this happened, but your team has the ball, and this is the results. Interception, punt, interception, fumble, punt, interception.
We should be losing at least 24-0.
And you weren't, but that had nothing to do with you. So therefore, I think I'm being kind by giving you a D, because I say that. I feel like that feels like an F right there. That feels like a get the F out my locker room. I don't ever want to see you on my effing team again. So I'm being nice, giving them a D, made some plays, few things that went positive, but just not good. And the Bills, I know, are a pretty good defense. Ed Oliver, we talked about it, I think, in the preview, that Ed Oliver was going to make a play or going to make some plays because that's what he's been doing all year. He did.
Big man with the one-handed interception. Wow.
He is a stud. Now,
Yeah.
far more, and the Patriots pass rush showed up. We'll talk about that when we get to the defense. But just for the offensive perspective, you didn't run the ball great. You had a little bit of spark from my guy, Kevin Harris. He had like one long run, one long catch and run, a little bit there. The passing game, meh, like inconsistency. Oh, Demario Douglas, who I was surprised to see some of the numbers, having one of the greatest rookie seasons for a receiver in the history of the franchise.
It's now he has the most yards.
Oh, he does.
Yes,
Oh,
he does.
he
He surpassed Aaron Dobbs. Let's hope, obviously, things don't go down.
So that's a
road.
precursor of what exactly? What exactly does that mean?
Well, honestly, though, like, did you leave 2013 feeling Aaron Dobbs was a piece of the franchise and a player to build your offense around?
You forgot the son. You dropped.
Oh, Dobson. That's right. See, all right.
He's not the quarterback of the Vikings, soon to be benched.
All right, it's not a.
He was the wide receiver of the Patriots, soon to be benched.
I'm working through some things over here. All right. So when Aaron Dobson
sucks,
yeah.
I mean, what we've seen it all year. The offense is not talented. The offense is not cohesive. It's not anything. It turns the ball over. Mac turned the ball over. Bailey Zappi turned the ball over. Oh, although you because you people.
Here we go.
I'm tying you to something that's really not even you.
11:25. Thank you.
Pro Football Focus said that Bailey Zappi had 0 turnover-worthy plays.
I saw that.
Excuse me? He had 3 picks. How'd that work exactly?
I mean, if they should probably not share that information, because that makes me think that you're watching a different game, or that this whole entire time you just programmed your algorithm or your next gen statisticals to troll people. He had no turnover worthy plays
in a game in which he threw 3 picks and a half. And I can understand the Jalen Reagor miscommunication, like, oh, that wasn't his fault. James White jumped on him on Twitter. You got to make
adjustment. Yes.
But you're going to tell me the pick that Oliver had on the throw to Gesicki was not a bad decision, bad throw, bad timing, or the slant when you, I know you got to throw a slant quick, but when you look and the guy is running the route for your receiver and is exactly where you're throwing the football, that's a turnover worthy play.
You didn't see that this guy.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. Let's go back. That first one to Gesicki. He forces the ball with 2 defenders draping a quick, like an up and out to your tight end. That's going to be at best a 4-yard gain. Throw it away, guy. The first play from scrimmage, don't force it into the hands of your least tough pass catcher on the team, who just gets dominated by a defender, and then Ed Oliver makes an insanely good pick for a 300-something pound human being. That's a turnover-worthy play. You probably take great measures of pride in thinking like, yeah, I brought Fitzy over to my side of the street in a lot of different ways. Like he's finally, I haven't committed to the dark side, but at least now I know how to use the 2 sides of the force.
Correct.
That said, holy smokes, like Pro Football Focus is basically just making me think that I shouldn't pay attention to what Pro Football Focus says when they share something like that.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. As Maui said in the great movie Moana, you're welcome. Speaking of The Rock, we will get to an announcement he had over the weekend in the back half. Pat's Perie. Next, defense. I gave him a B+.
I gave him a B-. And honestly, it stems from I'm kind of overvaluing one play. Josh Allen was not good. Some of it was the Patriots. I thought they pressured him up the middle early, and I thought that got in his head. I also just think he missed some throws and didn't play very well. He's not playing his best football over the course of this season, or certainly even over the course of the last 6 weeks.
He's very up and down. It's a polarizing season for Josh Allen, because there are the turnover heavy detractors, and there are but that's going to come with the offensive firepower he brings as he basically carries the team.
And he did. He absolutely carried them in a couple rushing touchdowns. I still think there's a chance remember when he dealt with that shoulder injury? I think there could be like a end of the season when it's all over. Oh, Josh Allen had surgery to clean up a torn rotator cuff, and that might
just going to say a scope of some kind will clean things up. Yes.
But really, like the play that I'm fixated on, everybody tells me that they want Kyle Duggar back and he's one of the best players on the D. Like, he got embarrassed by Dalton Kincaid. He ran right by him.
Smoked.
And that changed the game. It's a 51-yard catch that flips the field on their really only good drive that ends up being the difference on the scoreboard. The only good drive they had that they kind of earned themselves. And I mean, I give Duggar credit. I thought it was a touchdown. So did Josh Allen. He made the tackle after 51 yards, but they went on to score. And I don't know. I think Kyle Duggar is a linebacker. He's not very good in coverage. He gets exposed, I feel like, multiple times per game in coverage. So overall, I think it was a really solid, maybe B. Let me go from B- to B. I'm going to upgrade them just a little bit because I did like the early impact of the defensive line. Dietrich Wise, we tried to start the game with both quarterbacks turning the ball over there. The Bills recovered, but there was that fumble by Dietrich Wise on the sack. Anthony Jennings had some plays up front. Barmore was still a beast.
Am I allowed to say, like, I don't know, do we need a side pod called the Anthony Jennings Appreciation Hour? I think this kid,
nobody seems to care. And I don't,
he's he's taking the place of Daniel Aquale on the, hey, you know what, fella, why don't you stick around for a while?
Yeah. I based on value, comparatively to somebody like Uche or even Duggar, I think Jennings would be higher on my re-signing list. I'd like to see him stay in New England, and you might be able to, again, we've talked about ad nauseum, who's making the decisions, how does all that even play out, who decides contracts, whatever. Until that's decided, you probably can't re-sign guys. But he would be on my value-based Patriots extension list where you can get a good, solid player who will help you for the next 3 or 4 years at probably a solid contract because he's oncoming, he's burgeoning, he's not. I don't think there'll be a lot of money on the open market where somebody's going to be like overpaying him.
But a defense that has like some stars on it, like a Judon and like a Gonzalez, but then you've just got like your real like coal miners in there. Your Tavai, your Jennings, your Dietrich Wises, who we had a great time talking to last week when we filled in on the midday show. Go back and check out our chat with Dietrich Wise. I mean, just the personality to spare, good humor, good heart, real grinder. Absolutely love the guy. And Jabril Peppers, obviously, as well. Like you get a couple of stars, Andy, Barmore, Judon, Gonzalez, and then you start filling it with that real utilitarian blue collar grinders. That's a Belichick defense to me. Like I see,
might be a Mayo defense or something by that point, or a Flores defense, or
McDaniel, a Graham defense.
Yeah,
it's dare I say Belichickian.
Yes, and I agree with you. They have, if they keep it all together, they have the tent poles, the stars, and then the complementary supplemental pieces in there. Like Jawan Bentley, I would put in that category. Not a great player. Jelani Tavai, we've talked about him. Anthony Jennings. There's a nice mix of talent potentially on that defense if they get healthy. Now, the safety position will probably take a hit if Duggar is gone. You'll have to reconfigure that a year after you lose McCourty. But they definitely have some of the pieces in place. And then they have guys stepping up. Alex Austin made a nice play on the interception.
Sure did.
A safety spot coming across, picked off Josh Allen on a throw that was underthrown. He underthrew
Bad read.
Yeah, because Duggar was the one who was going to get beat, and I don't blame him as much on this, but there was a throw early to Diggs down the seam that on the run, Allen had to throw under pressure, and he underthrew it. It hit Duggar in the back of the head. If he lofts it up, Duggar's getting beat again. But again, I don't expect Duggar to cover a Pro Bowl receiver. That's more of a scheme issue. I don't really like how that ended up on the field.
I think your grade may be more succinct and appropriate. Like if we had to pick a mathematically accurate grade, probably an 82 for the Patriots. However, I think I was feeling a bit more lenient and or generous given the odds that were stacked against them by the turnover happy offense of the first half with their non-turnover worthy throws and plays made by Bailey Zappi, of course. Thank you.
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I had to give them a little extra because like time and again, they just went to sit their big old butts down and maybe grab a sports hydration beverage. It's like, oh, all right, guess we're getting back up and getting in there. All right, here we go. Lids. So I gave them their flowers and gave them a B+ for the effort out there as well. Wasn't perfect, but damn, if there's one side of the ball this season that we don't even have to do all right, what was the best? No, stop. This defense has outperformed this offense. They have lapped them at this point.
And do you think Gerard Mayo's done a good job? Well, I couldn't point out one person. That's what Bill Belichick said. It's everybody. That's interesting.
Oh, really?
You
It
might point
wouldn't be
that out.
because there's any competitive friction inside the building, Bill,
No,
knowing that
wouldn't
your
wouldn't be
successor
because
could
your
be right behind you,
son
right? Right? It
is
was,
there. Wouldn't be
yeah.
because your son is there too, and you don't want to
And you
promote
may,
Gerard Mayo as your replacement and the better of your son. No, no,
and
no.
your son may actually stick around and work for Gerard in case, I don't know.
He's like, Gerard does a great job. I'd be happy to work under him.
All right, special teams. I just gave him because once again, you've got an awesome play made by special teams, and then you've got more terrible plays. So I gave them a C.
I actually gave them a B because the kickoff return for a touchdown was a great play. I think they may have gotten away with a little bit of a hold, but that happens on every big
I
play like
think
that.
isn't there holding on literally every play in football?
That's what they say. I don't know if it's actually true. I've never really sat down Pro Football
All right.
Focus
You know what,
style
Andy? Let's sit down and watch every play in football, and we'll figure it out.
and
Let's do
count
it.
all 11
Let's do
players
it.
and like
Let's
every
do it.
block. And yep.
Let's do it. We're gonna do a
But
live
Jalen
stream.
Reagor has injected. He's had a big return in each of the last 3 games. Now, some didn't count penalties, different things, but this should have been the impetus to pull off the upset, especially in a place where a year ago you lost because of kickoff return touchdowns. It was like sort of theatrical almost in its.
I thought it was a very poetic sort of like return service, and it was. And I will say, yes, I thought too, like, oh, the upset could be in the cards today for the Patriots. Yeah, 98 yards, great spin move. The kicker looked like Reagor was actually going to fall down, and the kicker tries to tackle him and helps Reagor stay on his feet.
Yep.
So,
but the kicker, did you see Mike Giardi's tweet? Like the kicker ran the fastest of any specialist all year. He got to like 20.84 miles per hour.
Bass did? You're kidding?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was impressive.
Somewhere Parcells was like, he's not a kicker. He's a football player.
Yeah, he's a football. Well, he didn't make the play, so I guess it's hard to.
He tried. Well, only one Vinatieri could track down a Herschel Walker. But yes, I will say this. I think it's almost like you and I talked in the postgame about how like Jalen Reagor, you know what? You deserve an audition next year for the football team.
Yep.
Maybe it's as a special teamer, kick returner, could be wide receiver 5 or 6. He does look a bit more comfortable on kickoff returns than he does running routes and catching passes. Like it looks like a good fit for him. And I know Marcus Jones should be fully recovered from his labrum surgery, and people are going to want him back there. But wouldn't you rather, Andy, knowing that Marcus Jones is a wee bit undersized and a tad fragile, wouldn't you rather limit his touches to like punt returns, a little slot corner action, and maybe some trickeration on offense as opposed to punt returns, kick returns, full-time slot, maybe some offense as well? Like let Reagor handle the kickoffs, which he looks like he's more than capable to do, and let Marcus Jones juke, jump, and jive his way on the punts.
Yeah, and there's no problem having multiple guys that can do those roles, and having athletes that you actually want to play, just don't feel forced into playing, sort of that kind of mentality. Now, I don't. It's funny. I don't know a lot about Jalen Reagor. I feel like I didn't do a lot of research when he came, and probably shouldn't be admitting that on the podcast. That's all about Patriots, where I pretend to be an expert.
We'll fix that in post. Don't worry about it.
But on the interception that he was not on the same page with Bailey Zappi, and Bailey Zappi was clearly pissed and sulked and then tried to make the tackle, and it was too late because he had already been sulking and the guy scored a touchdown, Rasul Douglas. But Mike Giardi had a very snarky like, oh, Jalen Reagor didn't make the right sight adjustment on a play. You don't say. Like, apparently the book on him must be that he doesn't do those types of things well. Right. Like
all the physical tools, just doesn't have the processing and understanding.
Yes. But again, if he's your 5th/6th wide receiver as a kick returner, athlete guy, who knows? Maybe he's even a bounce between the practice squad and the roster kind of guy.
Could be the end of the Matthew Slater days. Now you can't just have Brendan Schooler. Cody Davis could be coming to an end. A Jalen Reagor could find a nice little special teams home for himself with a little offensive. You never know.
But I gave him a B because of the high that was the Jalen Reagor kickoff return. Sort of an average day, not a great day for Behringer. And then guy, Chad Ryland, wouldn't be a day without missing a field goal because that's what he do.
I know you want to point out he didn't miss 2 because there was a penalty. But guess what, Andy? When he thought the kick counted, he missed it.
Well, that's because he's not a very good kicker right now.
No, he's not. And I'm beginning to wonder if he's not going to be traveling down. We talk about the Patricia Chung Van Noy reclamation project highway that McDaniels, that so many players and coaches, when they leave, they go get paid. They flame out somewhere. They come home. I think Chad Ryland may be traveling down the Roberto Aguayo Expressway of a kicker that was drafted. You could even call it the Rohrwasser Expressway, though he's no controversial figure. He's just not very
Hey, he
good at
just
kicking the
stinks.
football.
Let's not lump
Yeah,
him into some of the other
no,
stuff.
no, I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one was a 3%er. The other one makes about 3% of his kicks.
You already used that joke. We recycled.
That was on the post game show. I got one.
In all seriousness about him,
Yeah.
if there is a full regime change, if there's a new GM and a new head coach, and the new head coach isn't tied to this regime, if there's like a really clean slate, then he's in really, really bad shape. I do think because they drafted him in the 4th round, like if Matt Gross sticks around, and hell, Bill Belichick sticks around, that buys him some time because they won't want to admit the hellacious mistake quite as quickly as a new regime might.
All right, let me just give you a quick look, Andrew, just for fun, because people that are listening are going to be watching and rooting next year. And of course, they can't go anywhere without their analysis from Six Rings. Here are some of the top place kickers that will be on the open market in 2024. Kaimi Fairbairn from the Houston Texans, Will Lutz, who's out there in Denver with his old pal Sean Payton, Greg Zerline, Greg the Leg, Legatron, who's currently with the Jetropolitans, old pal Nick Folk, Greg Joseph in Minnesota, Brandon McManus, who's in Jacksonville, made his name kicking a mile high in the sky for the Broncos, Joey Sly, who's with the Commanders, and Chase McLaughlin, who's currently kicking for the Buccaneers. Bunch of veterans. No one strikes me as the sure thing right there as well. So I any which way it goes, it'll be a competition next year for place kicker.
Maybe they'll bring in a young one again. What was the bowl game I was watching on? What day was it? New Year's Eve? Was I watching that big? Somebody had a big fat kicker with a strong leg who came on to. He was going to try like a 65-yarder, but then the idiots had a delay a game to turn it into a 70, so they couldn't let him try it at the end of the half. But
wow,
he apparently has a big leg and it booms it. So maybe they'll bring in another young guy.
Alabama, I'm not sure if he's draft eligible. Alabama's place kicker is a big dude, and he made both of his big kicks in the college football semifinal with leg to spare as well. But who knows? All right, now we go to quarterback and coach. Quarterback got himself a C-.
D. Again, I'm a more objective onlooker, not those rose-colored sunglasses, those old Patriots-colored sunglasses. I mean, he had. I told you on the post-game show, I'm not going to reuse a joke, but I'll reuse some material analytically. There was one play where Zeke makes a nice block. He steps up in the pocket, kind of on the move, zips it to Gesicki on the left side, who was just into his break at the right time. There's times when it looks good. There's times when his pocket presence and his movement around the pocket, his running ability, he even had the rushing touchdown. There's times when you see positive plays, but I'm going to revisit it because he's the quarterback and leads an offense that went interception, punt, interception, fumble, punt, interception. And there's just too many 3-and-outs. There's just too many turnovers. There's just too many unproductive drives. It's not all him, but he ain't overcoming it. And I know your people at Puff say he didn't put the ball in harm's way, but he puts the ball in harm's way too often. And sometimes it really kills him, including a pick 6 in which I didn't like his sulking right after the pick. He kind of showed up Jalen Reagor in the immediacy of the action. Like if this were baseball or a different sport, he's showing up his teammate. That's not really a thing as much in football that we talk about, but he kind of showed up Jalen Reagor. And then because of that, made this weird half-ass effort where he just kind of put his head down and fell down and wasn't part of the tackle. That never happened.
Right. We like the moxie. We like the energy. But when you've only started 7 games in the NFL and your record is 4-3, and you're currently a member of this blah offense, you're not really allowed to show anybody up. Yeah, like it's going to have, we need more attaboys. It's just going to have to be chin up. Let's go. LFG, attaboy, pat on the ass, keep it going. We'll get him next time type of stuff.
And go light the guy up. Like that's what we should be looking for. Like, oh, Bailey Zappi's a scrapper. He threw a pick, but he tackled the guy and put him on his ass. Like, no, he was kind of sulking and being a dink.
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't the best look. All right. And finally, the coach. The coaches.
I went straight C because I thought the defense was good. Again, they gave Josh Allen issues, both schematically, I thought at times, both play, the pass rush. They blitzed some, thought they were aggressive. I thought they did a really nice job defensively. I'll give them some credit for the opening kickoff. I'm guessing they schemed up a return that they thought would work against that coverage unit, and it did. I'll give you credit for that. Offensively, just not a great day. Are guys fighting? Sure, but I expect you to fight on some level. You are professionals. I know some people don't, but I'm going to expect you to. So just throw it all in a blender, as you would say, and I just thought a very sort of blasé.
And just think about this. You only have to probably, I dare say, watch Vidarian Lowe play left tackle one more time.
You give him a B? Because if you had a B, you know what that spells.
Now you are reusing material. Okay, all right.
Yes, I am. I learned it from watching you.
Dad, I learned from watching you. Yeah, I gave the coaching a B-. I mean, there's only so much. Again, yeah, that's all right. Like I said, it's not like they went out there and said, hey, on the first play, if no one's open, find your third read and then throw it to him no matter how many people are around him. Like, it's not like they said, hey, on this play, hey, Pharaoh Brown, when you catch the ball, no matter how many people are trying to pull it out of your hands, don't go down, keep running. Like, it just people
playmaker.
This is
Pharaoh
what
Brown
I know.
trying to make plays.
But also, Andy, these are things that have been characteristic of the 4 years since Tom Brady left, and things changed completely in Foxborough. When teams are not very good, people sometimes see Exhibit A, the end of the Raiders game, December 18th, 2022 in Las Vegas. People start doing things out of character to try to make plays because you're not very good, and the margin for error is so unbelievably slim. The coaches can try all they want to coach that out of people and remind them to just do their job. But sometimes it ain't enough. All right, there are the grades overall. That's it on the Buffalo Patriots game, Week 17, Game 16 on the 2023 season. Any final thoughts, any considerations of our grades and beyond, give us a shout at 6 Rings Pod, at FitzyGFY, and at Jumbo Hard. And now stick around, of course, for everyone's favorite segment, Pat's Perie, where we go through all the news, notes, nuggets, rumblings, and happenings in Patriots Nation. Once again, back here on 6 Rings and Football Things, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, make every moment more. If you have not jumped in, what are you guys waiting for? The water is very warm. FanDuel.com/6Rings to take advantage of their amazing same-game parlay offers, no sweat first bets, and more. By the way, Hart, considering that hashtag Fade Fitzy has been a thing that paid for a lot of the holidays, now as soon as we got through the holidays, I'm on a heater. I went 3 for 3 with my bets last week.
Nice.
See, that's a brand new me, brand new year as well. 2023 isn't over for the Patriots. However, I have turned over one and many a new leaf. So maybe this week you want to listen to your old pal Fitzy. We'll have our best bets in our FanDuel Sportsbook Bet of the Week when we preview Patriots and Jets a couple days from now. All right, Andy, let's go right to something that is fresh off the presses, as they like to say. This morning, heard this morning on the Greg Hill Show on WEEI, Bill Belichick, and what could be his final appearance with the station, because if I'm not mistaken, no player is contractually obligated to appear after the season. So this could be it for Bill Belichick. Tom Brady, once the season was over,
right,
and he did not show up. We waited for him to call. He did not call in. So this could be
waiting.
I'm still waiting for Tom to call back. This could be Belichick's final appearance on EEI as coach of the Patriots. Who knows?
And he was being uncharacteristically courteous, I would say.
I would dare say.
And that might be why. You want to go out looking like more of a human being and a professional than a dink.
Yeah, because the other people are listening. You don't want to go out like David Tepper.
Oh.
What an ass.
What an ass.
What an absolute ass. If you guys haven't seen, there's video out there. Just go to the X or some other social media platform, and you can see David Tepper getting frustrated at his team's performance and the jeering of Jacksonville Jaguar fans and throwing a drink on someone in the stands from the owner's box.
He should be kicked out. I told you, anybody throws a drink at a game, they're getting kicked out. He should be more. He should be held to a higher standard. He's an owner. I think I think it should be like a $500,000 fine, like a game suspension. He's not allowed to go to a game. Like there should be.
How about he's not allowed to attend his own home team's games next year? Because the fan that famously threw a beer at Tyreek Hill at Gillette in 2018 was banned for life. But it's okay because David Tepper has money. F
right.
you.
The differentiation, that's not right.
Get out of here. All right. So this morning, on the Greg Hill Show, this via a tweet from our pal Mike Reese. After fielding multiple questions relating to the future and why he doesn't entertain them, Bill Belichick said, quote, Whatever success I've had, I've tried to go about my job the same way every week. Win, lose, good years, bad years, whatever they are. Each week, get ready to go for that week. Do the best you can to help your team win. And after the game, move on to the next one. And at the end of the season, that's the end of the season. I'm committed to the team I'm coaching right now. The players that are here, they deserve my best every day. And that's what I'm going to give them. All right. I mean, like, from the book of Belichick, could you have expected anything less?
Right. I mean, that's what he should be saying. Now he's picked and choosed over the years when to step back and say things related to last week, last month, last year. Our stats are good. Our this was that. Like, he breaks his own rules all the time. So he could have broken his rules this morning. But no, you're right. It's the expected answer, I think, at this time. And it's what he should be doing. If you're going to ask your players to finish the season as professionals, then you got to finish the season as a professional coach. And if you don't, I think it sends the message like, okay, you guys just do whatever the hell you want. And so I understand it. Again, he picks and chooses when he sort of takes this approach and doesn't take this approach, but it is what it is. And now the other question is, Bill, maybe I'd rather you not focus so much on your job because I don't really want you to beat the Jets because you always beat the Jets. And if you beat the Jets again, you could screw everything up for either yourself or the next coach.
So I have a plan for us, Hart. Here's what we do. You and I, Celtic pride style, you can be Daniel Stern or Dan Aykroyd, whichever character you want to play. Two of us get together, kidnap Belichick before the game on Sunday.
I don't think that's going to end well. I don't.
Whose car? You're supposed to say, okay, whose car are we taking?
No.
Just to prevent him from winning against the Jets. Because you know he's going to do everything he can because, A, Belichick beats the Jets regularly and with clockwork. I mean, you can set your calendar to very few things you can set your calendar and your clocks to anymore in Patriot Nation, except that Bill Belichick dominates and owns the Jets.
So I know Bill listens to this podcast because he's done things in the past that we have called for. And I know he listens. Bears, if you're listening, pass this message along. Bill, if
we were joking.
Hello. Yeah. But no, seriously, Bill, we always say Bill Belichick, or at least Michael Irvin says Bill Belichick plays chess, not checkers. The checkers playing person would say, I'm going to beat the Jets on Sunday because I'll never lose to the Jets because I hate the Jets and I always want to screw the Jets. But the chess playing person would say, if I lose to the Jets, not only does it hurt their top 10 draft pick, a guy who'll be joining a roster that already includes Aaron Rodgers next year, but it could place a quarterback on the Patriots that will demoralize the Jets for the next 15 years and continue to roll all over gangrene. So the best way for Bill Belichick to screw the Jets on Sunday is to lose to them.
Let him win. Tell Castle to sail it into the crowd.
Exactly.
Now that is chess over checkers, 6-ring style, kid. I don't have a favorite quarterback just yet. I don't think anyone in Pat's Nation does. You got too many people that say they're out on Caleb Williams already. I haven't seen it with Drake May. Scheim is all over Drake May, but then again, he also didn't want Joe Burrow. So
what's he know?
Well, I mean, he was out on Mac Jones, so he knows a little something, but doesn't know nearly as much. He's been a Lamar Jackson fan. And oh, by the way, everybody in the NFL that made a point of coming out and saying like, well, organizationally, we're not in favor of trying to sign or trade for Lamar this offseason. He's not part of our plans. Yeah, how are your teams doing? Commanders, Falcons, and all you other idiots who said that your team was better than Lamar Jackson. Screw, kick rocks.
How many did
Shame
you put
on them
against the Dolphins this weekend?
18 for 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that good?
That seems pretty good in a matchup that's supposed to be marquee. Like not
with two supposed top 10 cornerbacks on the other team.
And excuse me, I believe his most favorite target is not on the field. So he's had to replace him with a likely candidate.
I will not give you your Zay Flowers on that one.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Thank you.
But
Zay Flowers has been a revelation. Isaiah Likely has been awesome. And if Mark Andrews is able to come back and be 75% of his former self, because my God, I've told you before, sometimes when I'm in the stadium on game day doing my Joker on the Jumbotron routine, I get to see some of these guys running onto the field. By God, Mark Andrews, what a job. I mean, doesn't make sense. Like the largest human being I've ever seen in person running onto the field for another team was Calais Campbell last year for the Ravens. I'm convinced he's the largest person on planet Earth. Mark Andrews, no slouch. That is a giant person. He comes back, that offense could be damn near unstoppable, Andy.
Since we're blending Bill Belichick comments on the Greg Hill Show with talk about Lamar Jackson, what'd you think of his blurry response when asked if the Patriots tried to trade for Lamar Jackson this offseason? And he didn't say no.
Good for him. He shouldn't have. That's doing your due diligence as general manager or head of football operations.
This year. Imagine if they traded for Lamar Jackson, how everything in our lives would have changed. Our professional, our personal, our football watching, our living, our fun-loving lives would have changed.
We would be right now just like metaphorically doing this from like the shores of Kokomo. We would just be even if they were only like 8-8, it still would be so much more fun, so much more entertaining.
Yes, but alas, they, like everybody else, just let him go back to Baltimore, and now Baltimore might win the Super Bowl with him.
And I bet Robert Kraft regrets ever saying anything about it, let alone not pulling the trigger or telling Bill Belichick to pull the trigger, as we found out via, and let's just get into this now, your pal, you like to call him the crap sheet, Ian Rappaport's reporting on Sunday on NFL Network and NFL.com about the coaching searches around the league, his latest updates. You call them more informed speculation than real insidery updates. But when we read about the New England Patriots, we learned, he said, don't rule out some other candidates, including, here it is right here. If Belichick does move on, speculations have centered on Mayo as his successor. That would be Gerard Mayo. That's not a guarantee, though, on other options. Particular coaches with Patriots ties, such as Josh McDaniels or Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores, shouldn't be ruled out. And of course, someone took a reverse victory lap on Monday. He took a walk of shame. That would be Bill Belichick's former consigliere, Mike Lombardi, who let us all know, so bad. Mike knows. He's got the collar. He's wearing the jacket right now. He knows. Told us all that Vrabel had no years left on his deal. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, he could be a free agent. Vrabel to the Patriots, LFG. And then a couple hours later, Mike Kadlick writes up a piece for .com. Everyone else has to blog it and click it and retweet it. A couple hours later, oops, my bad. He's got 2 years left. I mean,
I misspoke. He didn't even say he was wrong. Misspoke. Like, misspoke is stumbling in your words and like not saying it clearly. You were wrong. You effed up. You misspeak.
Misspeak. I know, honestly. So what do you make of all? I mean, do you think there's legitimately any consideration to have Josh McDaniels and Brian Flores, B-Flow and Mac Daddy come in and have interview? I mean, how is this? Let's just hold on. How is this process going to play out? Like, what happens first? Like a meeting or a what?
Yeah, there's going to be meetings, I would assume. Yep. There's going to be decisions. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be all of those things. But from this, like the information of this, so Mike Reese, less than a week ago, on across the street, as they say, and by the way, it's a wide ass street because
I was going to say it's a really long street because Waltham and Brighton are not near each other at all.
Mike Reese brought up the idea of bringing Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler back. So in the course of a week, Mike Reese, who people trust, like, respect, brought up Josh McDaniels. Ian Rapsheet, who people don't really trust, respect, or like, brought up Josh McDaniels. It certainly seems like Josh McDaniels' name is out there, whether it's just speculation, whether it's, whispers from people, whatever. Then there's a couple other layers that I pick out of this. There was the part where he said, they don't want to fire him. They prefer to part ways. Well,
yeah.
How does that work if Bill says no? If Bill says, no, I'm staying. Then you got to fire him if you want to get rid of him. There's no parting of ways. You're firing him.
How do you convince him to have a mutual parting of ways so that it looks good for all parties? Now, see, that's why in his remarks this morning on the Greg Hill Show, I'm surprised a little bit Bill Belichick didn't say something along the lines of, I love it here. I'm committed to this team. I would love to be back next year as the HC of the NEP, because then that could have been a bit of a leverage play. And he could set himself up as a more sympathetic figure on the way out the door, putting pressure on RKK and JKK.
Unless he doesn't, it's JAK. Unless he doesn't want to.
Is it really? Jack? Oh, nice.
I believe it's RKK and JAK from things I used to see internally in the organization.
Okay. Got
it. But does he want to be back? Does he want to use that leverage play? Like,
maybe not
sure about that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was this simply because Brian Flores' name is interesting in its inclusion. Yes, he's a former Patriots assistant coach, former head coach. Like there's reasons to speculate about him. He's also, in case you haven't noticed in his legal history, a black coach. And I believe, even if Mayo gets the job, they still have to interview at least one other minority candidate.
I believe it has to be at least an external, or
I think
can you
something
do
like
two
that.
internal?
So
Okay.
could this be a covering your bases in terms of the order of operations in terms of the HR rules of the National Football League? I don't know if that could be, might not be. At least giving the idea that there are other options out there. There are other minority options out there that will be considered, very much considered. Or maybe they're going to hire Brian Flores. Hell, for all I know, like
that'd be a shot. Like, it's amazing that two former coordinators who had so much success with the Patriots and have had success coordinating by and large. Well, McDaniels kind of stunk in 2011 with the Rams when Spags was the head coach.
He did stink.
And Flores, at times has been okay. There's pretty good this year. Very blitz heavy as well. He's not working with nearly as much talent as he has on other teams. That it's funny how some guys, like really good coordinators, don't make great coaches at times. And like those potentially, McDaniels is the ultimate prime example of that, if you will. I don't know. I couldn't see it. Now I wonder, let's say Mayo does get tabbed as coach. Steve Belichick leaves to go work with his dad, which would make a lot of sense as well. Does a DeMarcus Covington get a shot at defensive coordinator or get an interview at least?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think he would.
He's probably a bright rising star, right?
And he may not call plays. Maybe Mayo calls plays. I don't know how that would work out, like sort of tactically. But I think DeMarcus Covington, if Gerard Mayo sticks around and Steve Belichick is gone, I would be surprised if DeMarcus Covington, not DeMarcus Cousins. That'd be the weirdest thing.
That would be this giant basketball player who has nothing to do.
Right. Because then if they had night games, they'd be Boogie Nights for the Patriots defense.
Oh, boy.
That's terrible. Oh, boy. Terrible. But no, I think if Mayo's the head coach and Steve Belichick is gone, DeMarcus Covington is likely the defensive coordinator. And I like him. I think he's a good young coach. I've been very impressed with the way I've seen him interact with players. I think he does a really good job with the media. Not that necessarily says anything or matters. I do think he's a rising head coach candidate.
Agreed. All right. Andy did. So right now, just so in case everyone knows, everyone is now a tank spurt, if you will, because we all have to keep up on the latest with the New England Patriots draft pick for 2024. Sunday, they entered with the third pick. For a brief moment, they had the second pick after the Cardinals beat the Eagles. Also, the Eagles not winning cost me a 7-leg money line parlay on FanDuel. So F you, Sirianni, and everyone. I was going to pay for Christmas. All they had to do was beat a terrible Cardinals team at home. Thanks a lot, you jerks. But then the Patriots had the second pick, but then through the stupid strength of schedule things and numbers that are giving everybody ice cream and popsicle headaches, now the Patriots have the third pick. So if they win on Sunday, the worst they could finish is with the 7th overall pick. The best they could finish with is the second, because Carolina has locked up the first pick, worst record first pick, which will be going to the Bears. And I don't think the Bears are going to be taking a quarterback. I think Matt Eberflus and Justin Fields will probably stick around together next year. Their offense has really not looked that bad the better part of the last month plus since Fields came back. So it will be we're going to have so many different franchises' eyes on Jets Patriots on Sunday. What they'll pick, where they could end up picking, God only knows. But it is just one of the many very compelling storylines as we head into what could be Bill Belichick's final game coaching the Patriots.
And if you're right, and they're sticking with Fields in Chicago, it could make the Patriots plan very easy. Sort of select if the Patriots stick at 3, because if the Bears take Marvin Harrison, who some people think is the best player in the draft, the surest thing in the draft, and he goes to the Bears, well, that now means there's 2 quarterbacks on the board and no elite player that you might be tempted to take over the quarterback. So now I think you have to take one of the top 2 or even top 3 quarterbacks, whoever falls to you at 3. If it's Drake May, Caleb Williams, if you want to talk yourself into Jaden Daniels, I don't care. I think if the Patriots are 3 and the Bears take a wide receiver at 1, you absolutely have to take a quarterback. You've removed the debate.
There has been a rumblings that the Washington Commanders like Caleb Williams a lot. So I'm sure an edict will come from Josh Harris and company. Hey, Ron, we'll give you a nice little parting gift in your final game coaching the Commanders Sunday. Tell your buddy Sam Howell, don't F this up for us.
Right.
You know, now, again, Dallas on the road is capable of amazing things. A Dallas team, by the way, that is a simple win in Washington at the worst field in the NFL, RFK Stadium, FedEx Field, excuse me. Oh, but for the days of RFK at FedEx Field, absolute toilet. If the Cowboys win, they win the NFC East and they get to play at least one home playoff game, which means there's a very good chance they could screw that up. And then if the Washington Commanders pull off the unlikeliest of upsets, kind of like Lovie Smith did last year in his game, that could put the Patriots in it too if they lose to the Jets. But if they win, they could be 5, 6, 7. Who knows? Get ready, baby.
I just want a quarterback. I can't say it simply enough. I just want a quarterback. And I'm not opposed to the wide receiver quarterback double dip if you can pull that off, because we'll get into those weeds as, oh, you trade Belichick for this pick, and now you can get your wide receiver or tackle early, and you can get your quarterback in the late 20s with the pick you traded this, that. I don't know. But I just guarantee me that in the first 34 picks in the draft, the Patriots will take a quarterback. That's all I need. That's all I ask for. If you tell me that, we can have fun with it. We can debate it. We can talk about it. I don't know if it'll work. We may regret it.
You get excited about it. They'll print jerseys. We'll come up with fancy new catchphrases, fun slogans. There'll be joy in Pat's Nation. You give me Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. This guy is a receiver and a half for Washington guy.
Oh,
and Mike Penix. I even would take this year's version of Tank Dell, who I loved last year. Tez Johnson, who plays for Oregon and is the favorite target and unofficial brother of Bo Nix. This kid you probably could get him a little bit later if you want to get quicker and get a slightly bigger version of Pop Douglas. There's so much out there. Oh, please, Patriots. We are just two people that are fans, broadcasters, and analysts sitting here begging you, don't F this up. Whoever you get, please just get a quarterback, get a receiver, and then start giving us some hope again.
And I promise to not call you dumbasses when it doesn't work. Because as I texted to you yesterday, when we were texting back and forth, we kind of looped Cadlick in and, Bo Nix going off. I like Bo Nix. And I'm like, yeah, you can draft Bo Nix. And then in 2 years, you can look for a quarterback again. It might happen, but whatever. Like, I promise not to go over the top and say you're the dumbest a-hole on the planet when you take a quarterback. No, like, it might not work. It doesn't work for a lot of teams, but you got to swing for it. You got to bite at it. You got to
take a chance.
Yes. And
please.
And it will at least inject life into Patriot Nation for, I don't know, 8 or 10 months. I mean, as early as next November, we could all.
Do you remember the excitement of Mac Jones beating out Cam Newton and running onto the field and what we thought that could be all about? Like, that was fun. That was the last time this was all really fun. It's been about 2 years of unfunness.
And now we will be guaranteed, if you take a quarterback in the first 34 or 35 picks, we'll be guaranteed to have fun again for at least 10 months. And then we'll go from there and figure it out. And who knows, it may blow up. And the other thing with the Penix, how do you say it? Odunze?
Rome Odunze.
Is you're going down the road that we've seen, like, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, like you can pair up sort of the quarterback and the wide receiver sometimes. Like we can see Jalen Waddle and Tua.
Like, Pats love Caleb Williams. Maybe they'd have to trade up with Chicago and work out a deal. Maybe if they end up with the 7th pick and they take Neighbors or Odunze, you could maybe then, when you start to see and feel a little heat around Penix, trade back in, especially like you said, if you get a Belichick compensation pick or some other stuff going on. Who knows? It will be fascinating. And also, there may be some fun pre-draft podcasts coming up. Cadlick, Hart, and I are workshopping a sort of 6 rings side pod title called You Are a Patriot. And we'll just identify a couple people we've fallen in love with in bowl season and the early pre-draft process. Last thing, Andy, the UFL is coming this spring. Kicks off March 30th. It is the combination, the merger, if you will, of the USFL and the XFL. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Danny Garcia, the managing partners of the XFL, now the UFL, made multiple appearances on bowl games, college game day, etc., to hype it up. And yesterday, on New Year's Day, 2024, they revealed the 2 divisions. 4 teams from the XFL and 4 teams from the USFL made it. There's an XFL and a USFL division. I'm imagining we're going to probably get a greater talent pool. Hopefully they will continue to be a developmental pipeline for the NFL. And you know me, I love me some XFL. I like spring football. It's great background fodder. Occasionally you catch a decent game, and you see a couple players make it down the pipeline from spring football into autumn and winter ball as well, and maybe even on occasion make some impact. So your thoughts and or tempered level of excitement?
I don't know if excitement is the right word.
Interest.
There's some interest.
Okay.
It was not sustainable to have multiple spring leagues competing, like just
Nope.
not. You're lucky if you can have one that
Mm-hmm.
latches on and gains traction. And now with The Rock and with Fox, which was backing the USFL, like there's probably enough interest, investment. I think the NFL, we saw with the rules and the various ways they were kind of tied into it last spring.
Mm-hmm.
The details still need to be worked out, I feel like, exactly how it maps out. And also just this year where every team needed to use multiple quarterbacks. You got up to 70 quarterbacks. Like, it's obvious you need developmental talent, developmental league. I know people have even lamented like the NFL Europe days and where the league, it wasn't making money, so they short-sightedly got rid of it. And some people have sort of lamented that. Now it probably makes more sense stateside. It probably is more financially feasible. And I'm not saying you're ever going to be super popular. You're ever going to have like 70,000 people anywhere other than St. Louis, which they get a lot of people there.
Battlehawks draw a crowd. Yeah.
But there's a place for it. There's a world and a way for it to exist and succeed and be productive for the NFL. And even now, because a lot of times people said, "Oh, I want my guys working with me in the spring, and I'm coaching them. I don't want them playing." Well, a lot of the rules in the NFL, you can't do much with them now in the spring anyway, so they might as well go get some competitive reps somewhere and try to advance their development. So, yeah, I think there's a way it will work. I'm not going to pretend I'm going to be watching every game. Like it's going to be what it is. Like, oh, I'm home. I put my feet up. I turn there's football on. And
look at that. Hey,
spring?
Sunday,
I'll
there's a
watch
game,
that.
the Battlehawks against the Roughnecks on a Sunday. Hey, let's watch.
Let's watch for a little while because it's football and I like football. I watch Pop Warner football. I watch high school football. I watch college football and spring football. And especially for people around here who may not have a baseball team to turn to in March and April and May with any interest, maybe they'll latch on to the UFL.
Holy Giolito. Let's go to a DC Defenders game. Yeah, I mean, hey, I've always wanted to go down there. I wanted to check that scene out, like where they sell out the soccer pitch and they do the beer snake and all that fun stuff. Like, there's at least a little life to it. Like, it's fun. We'll see how much impact they have on NFL 2024 and beyond, and if they're able to ratchet up interest by combining both leagues into one, the merger, and working cooperatively on perhaps some rules and innovations with the NFL to come. All right, man. That was supposed to be a quick podcast in just under an hour. That will do for our grades, Pat's Perie, and recap pod of Buffalo Patriots and everything else going on in Pat's Nation here on Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll be back in a couple of days. Andy will be with Mike Kadlick for the final installment of Kadlick's Crucial Clashes. We will have our FanDuel Sportsbook Bet of the Week and a preview of Patriots at Jets. Could it be the final game of the Bill Belichick era in New England? God only knows, but we shall soon find out. We'll offer everything we got and then some in just a few days' time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Give us a follow at Six Rings Pod. Thank you right there, Terp, if you're watching on YouTube, for the New Year's festivity graphic right there that you flashed up by accident or on purpose.
I like it. I like it.
Wow, we got a budget now. This is amazing. We have stock picked. We have New Year's graphics if you're watching on YouTube. All right, for Hart, for Terp, for everyone, this is your old pal Nick Fitzy Stevens saying thank you once again for listening to Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by WEEI Odyssey and 2400 Sports. Talk to you soon. Good day. God bless. And as always, go Pats. Happy New Year.